Thank you for listening to the Business Blast podcast. So for all my listeners out there that have been wanting to do your own podcast, I'd like to introduce to you Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. So before I found Anchor, I had never actually done a podcast because all the research that I had gathered made it seem very complex. Then I found Anchor, and Anchor makes podcasting extremely simple. So if you want to do your own podcast, go to anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today I have Chase Boehringer with us. He is a professional adventurer who takes small groups of awesome people on the world's most epic adventures with his company, the Bucketlist Lifestyle. So welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Tyler. I absolutely love the podcast, so I'm just incredibly excited to be here.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. So, Chase, the first one we got for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
I'd say probably, as most things, the biggest valuable lesson that I have comes from my darkest time, which was when I was 22. I actually got divorced from a really small town, so it was pretty normal to get married young. And there was infidelity on her part with a closest friend, and it was just like absolutely heartbreaking for me. It just put me into an incredibly dark space where I was contemplating suicide and planning that out. And what I realized through basically self-care and through travel and through figuring out my stuff, like really going through and asking myself the hard questions and eventually coming to the other end of the spectrum with compassion and forgiveness, that I realized how powerful my brain was, because nothing had changed from the actual situation itself. The facts stayed the same, but my brain was the one thing that shifted. My ideas, my thoughts were the one thing that shifted, that took me from despair to wanting to end my life to living it totally out loud, feeling love again, actually being able to look at my life as a blessing and all of the pain as a blessing instead of a curse.
And then, what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
I'd say focus on what pisses you off in your industry. So for me personally, I have an adventure tour company, and what pisses me off about tours is that there's always a negative Nancy somewhere, that groups are way too big, everything is super just white bread, mediocre. Even though it's fun, it's not real, it's not visceral, and that's what people love about travel. And so for me, that pisses me off, and I always focus on, like, if I go on a tour for research, I'll just like constantly get triggered. And that's what I focus on, and that's what I'll tell everyone else to focus on too, because that's where you can actually do the most good in your industry. Find the thing that pisses you off and actually take steps to change it in your own business.
And then, what is your best piece of overall business advice? And that, it could tie in, just not necessarily industry specific.
Yeah, I'd say the overall business advice actually has to do with self-love and happiness. What I found most helps my business is when I am 100%, when my cup is overflowing and I've taken care of myself and my heart, and I'm actually coming from a place of love, both of myself and of my business and the people that I'm serving. So I'd say that, like, taking care of yourself and asking yourself the hard questions, getting down to the nitty-gritty of who you are, loving what is as it is, even if you'd like to change it, and then coming to your business from that standpoint. So yes, it's business advice, but it's more life advice, because you are the one who's creating your business. And if you're not coming from a cup that's overflowing, you're going to be taking away from yourself, and you're going to be coming half-assed into your business.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I'd say that sometimes people are assholes for a dang good reason, which is to get you away from them. I personally believe in universal energy, and I believe that sometimes people are brought into your life to teach you a lesson, and also some people need to get out of your life. And I've learned over the years that when someone is just acting so, like outrageously annoying and mean and just for no reason, usually now at this point I look at it and say, all right, I'm not supposed to be around this person, whether that's an employee, or whether that's a person who's coming on into your business, a customer, even a personal relationship. For me now, I look at someone being a dick and I'm like, great, one less person in my life who is not fully aligned with me.
Mm-hmm. Again, it could tie in. So in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
I'd say that knowing that you are currently enough, knowing that what you have right now is enough, and like actively and consciously finding it each day and each moment through gratefulness. That is the key to happiness, is just simply opening your eyes to what you have right now can make you happy, and nothing outside of yourself can actually create that happiness unless the inside looking at it is happy in the first place.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
I would say it's actually a fairly recent read, which is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I love that book for two reasons. One is it allowed me to simply, like, in reading someone's raw, like, just their writing was so raw. It was so great that it actually allowed me to shift my writing to be more real and more authentic to my voice. But the actual biggest lesson, I'd say, is that there truly are only so many fucks that you can give in a day. And you need to choose consciously what you're going to focus on. So you can focus on the little fairly meaningless stuff, like, wait, I got a letter from the DMV that says I got a points thing, what? And you could just like focus on that and take all of your attention and energy away from your business or your family or your friends or yourself and put it into that. Or you can consciously choose, like, okay, I'm going to handle this, but I'm not going to just like put so much emotional and mental energy into it.
Mm-hmm. And then what is your favorite quote and why?
I love this Babe Ruth quote, actually. It's never let the fear of striking out get in your way. And I love that because it doesn't actually say don't fear striking out. It doesn't say anything about this. It doesn't let the fear of striking out get in your way, meaning it's totally fine and normal to feel that fear. But that's what courage is actually doing it anyways. Step up to the plate anyways. So feel it, acknowledge it, and do it anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yes, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. The last one I got for you is, where can our audience best find you online?
TheBucketlistLifestyle.com. Also, The Bucketlist Lifestyle on Instagram, on Facebook, all the social medias. But honestly, like, I love entrepreneurs. I love like good people. So if you want to just simply add me or follow me on Facebook, it's Chase Boehringer. You can just copy and paste it from the site below this podcast, and either add me or follow me, because I love connecting with really dope people, especially other entrepreneurs. So let's go on an adventure together somewhere around the world. I love taking really badass adventures on really amazing epic adventures. So let's do it.
Perfect, brother. Thank you again for coming on.
Of course. Thanks, Ali.